Hello again, Year 4. It's time for our class story again. We're on this page here, The Last Chick. And I wonder if from the last time we read our story, if you've got any ideas about why this chapter might be called The Last Chick, or what you think is going to happen. That's right, I think it's going to be about the youngest chick. I think a chick is going to hatch because I can just see a beak poking out from that shell there. There it is. So I think it's going to be about the youngest chick who's hatching out of his egg, and I reckon that Otto is going to look after him because I know that Otto is a really caring chick, and he's also the first chick, so it's his job to look after the other ones. Let's carry on with our story. Otto was so busy during the next few days that he didn't have time to miss Claudius. As the ladies came back from the sea to feed the chicks, all the fathers disappeared one by one to feed themselves. Otto had to look after all his huddle. Often he had to huddle the chicks together because the grown-ups were still walking about. They had enough blubber to keep them warm, but the chicks didn't have blubber yet. So the chicks were cold, so he had to try to get the huddle into a huddle, so the grown-ups could walk around. When they began to feel the cold, Otto and Leo collected all the chicks together in a tight huddle, the little ones at the centre where it was warmest. It was a bit like they did when it was the blizzard and they all huddled together. When he had finished making the very first chick huddle of this kind, Otto noticed a chick standing all by himself some way away, looking out to sea. Oh dear, he said to Leo. Look, we've left someone out. I must go and fetch him. Otto looked across at the chick. Oh yes, that's Alex. He was the last chick to hatch, so he's only a baby. We must keep him warm. So yeah, he's the youngest chick, isn't he? The last chick. Otto hurried off. As he got nearer to the chick, he could see that Leo was right. Alex was just a baby. He wasn't really big enough to be off his father's feet. He looked so cold and miserable standing there that Otto knew he must get him into the huddle quickly. Where's Daddy? Wailed Alex as soon as Otto reached him. I want my father. I expect he was hungry, Otto said. Aren't you hungry? That's what that lady penguin asked me, Alex said. I didn't know what she meant, so she went away. What's hungry? Well, he doesn't know either, so it's that same feeling that Otto had and he didn't know what it was. Otto looked at him. It's an asking feeling inside, but I don't expect you have it just yet. So you haven't got an auntie? No, I haven't got anybody at all. Otto felt very worried. My name is Otto, he said. You stay close to me and I'll look after you. Come on, we must get back to our huddle. He's been a very good first chick, isn't he? So I wonder if Alex's dad had to go and get food from the sea, but there was nobody to look after Alex because the lady penguin that asked him if he was hungry went away again when Alex said that he didn't know what it meant. He was too little to know. Alex waddled along beside Otto for a few yards and then he stopped. Because it's quite an old book, they're talking about yards, but these days we'd say metres. So he's just waddling along a little bit because he can't really walk that well. So he's just going a little bit beside Otto and then he stopped. Otto, he wailed. Otto stopped too. What's the matter? You're not a proper father at all, Alex said. So Alex thinks that Otto is going to look after him like his dad did. Your feet aren't big enough. Oh, so Alex thinks that he should be standing on Otto's feet like Otto stood on Claudius's feet. Otto looked down at his feet. Alex was quite right. His feet weren't big enough. No, I can't give you a ride just yet, he said, but perhaps my feet will grow in the warmth of the huddle, so let's hurry there. Come on, let's run. I don't think his feet will grow when they're inside the huddle. I think it's a bit of a trick to try to get Alex to run to the huddle to get warm. So Otto and Alex arrived at the huddle at last, Otto pushing the baby in front of him for the last little bit. Alex was getting tired and Otto couldn't let him stand on his feet because his feet were too small, so he sort of waddled along pushing him in front of him. He tried to push him to the centre of the huddle, but Alex wouldn't leave him. I want to stay with you, Otto, he said, standing firmly on Otto's feet. You can be my father now. But let's remember, Otto's feet aren't very big, so you can't balance Alex on top of them yet. Gusto was standing nearby and he began to screech with laughter. "Old Bossy Chick has got a baby," he shouted. Ah, Bossy Chick must be the nickname they've given Otto because he's the first chick and he's so bossy. But I remember Gusto was quite bossy as well. I remember Gusto was the one that Claudius thought would be a handful for Otto. "When you're quite finished, cheeky chick, you can come and help me look after him," Otto said. "Come on, you keep his front warm while I keep the wind off his back." "Why?" said Gusto. "I'm busy keeping myself warm." He is bossy. Because penguins, emperor penguins anyway, look after each other. Now come on, put your tummy against his. That's right. Alex, this is Gusto. He talks an awful lot, but he's a very nice penguin. Alex looks shyly up at Gusto. He's shy, he's just little and he doesn't really know Gusto at all. "If you talk a lot, you must be able to tell stories." "I do like stories. Please tell me a story." Oh. Gusto looked helplessly at Otto. He's thinking, what do I do? "I've never told a story. Where do I get it from?" "Out of your head. I'm sure there are lots in yours. Just begin once upon a time and carry on from there." So Gusto began. Soon Otto's worries about little Alex were over. He was so happy listening to Gusto's stories that he didn't even notice how cold he was. Not until it got a bit warmer and the huddle began to drift apart. Gusto was hungry, so he gabbled the end of his last story and went off to find his auntie. He just left little Alex by himself. "Otto," Alex wailed, "Gusto's gone. And I'm cold, horribly cold." "Yes, Alex, I expect you are. We live in a cold place, you see. You'll get used to it." Who does that remind you of at the beginning of the story? Who told Otto that he lives in a cold place and he'll need to get used to it? Claudius. "Have you got used to it yet, Otto?" Well, no, not quite. I'm only a chick like you know. When we get bigger, we won't feel the cold. The way to do that is eat. Come on, I'm going to find Auntie Anna. He's really doing a good job, isn't he, of looking after Alex. He's trying to get him to eat as well. They found Auntie Anna and Otto had a good feed. When he had finished, he was very surprised to see Alex come up to Anna and say, "Me too." "What's this?" Otto said. "I thought you said you weren't hungry yet." "I think I am now," Alex said. "Will you be my Auntie Anna?" "Oh, well, I don't know," Anna said. "Two chicks to feed. I shall be worn out." Otto looked at her. "Alex is the last chick around here, Anna. It means you'll have the first and the last. That's very special." I think Otto's doing a fantastic job of looking after Alex. Anna grinned at Otto. "All right, you've talked me into it. We'll find Alex an auntie of his own soon, but I'll feed him for the time being. Come on, little one." So Alex had his first meal, an enormous one. "There won't be much left for you tomorrow, Otto," Anna said. "I'll have to go down to the sea again." "Never mind. There'll be plenty of aunts and uncles coming to feed you all from now on." "You mean I'll have to get used to somebody different?" Otto asked. "I've only just got used to you." That's how it is with emperor penguins. The grown-ups go backwards and forwards to the sea to get food for you until you're big enough to go yourselves. You'll have lots of different penguins to look after you, but you won't go hungry. Penguins look after each other, just like the title of that chapter. That's what Claudius said, Otto thought. But lots of different penguins to feed him? Oh well, he was a penguin. He'd have to get used to it. And the next chapter is called Pup, and that's an interesting picture if we think back just a little bit earlier in the story when Otto made that mistake and he said the pup. What was he talking about? What creature? I wonder if the next time we read our story you could figure out what the pup could be and why that might be a problem for Otto. Okay, have a lovely day and I'll see you next time we read our story. Bye.